First of all, dear colleagues, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mohammed Al-Widyan. I am the president of Amman Arab University, the AEU, located in Amman, Jordan. It's my privilege and pleasure on behalf of the AEU and our partners, Al-Balqa Applied University and the Association of Arab Universities, to welcome you all today in this distinguished event. We are delighted to have you with us to participate and share in this first of its kind event in the MENA region, and are pleased to thank you for participating, knowing that many of you are coming from various places in the region, which we believe serves as a reminder to us all of just how important this gathering is. The AEU, in fact, was founded in 1997 as a non-profit private university specialized in graduate studies under the name Amman Arab University for graduate studies, and thereby became the first private university in Jordan that offers a graduate program leading to MS and PhD degrees. In the March of the university, 2 phases have passed. The first phase started with the early inception of the university back in 1999 as specialized in graduate studies, and the phase second began when the university became more comprehensive and launched a number of undergraduate programs in 2009, and in turn, its name changed to Amman Arab University currently. In fact, at the current status, we have many students coming from all the nations almost in the region. Our vision is a distinguished university leading scientific research and active in promoting society of knowledge, and our mission of providing an outstanding academic learning and innovative scientific research that serves the community, enhances knowledge, achieves equality, and contributes to comprehensive development. With the full support of the university's board of trustees and other governance bodies and other stakeholders, the AEU strives to accomplish its mission and vision. Our partners, the Balqa Applied University, has in the recent years been making giant steps and accomplishments based on our structured approach that was reflected in significant advances in international rankings and reputation. On their part, the Association of Arab Engineers has been working hard to transform Arab higher education and move its institutions into the global spotlight. They made several success stories and still planning for more. In fact, Mandy and I, maybe you recall Mandy, that have been communicating for quite a while when I was still associated with JUST, for quite a while trying to convene this event, and here we are finally. Given that I have known Mandy and her team for several years back and their cumulative expertise in the QS and others, I can assure you that this venture is going to evolve into a prominent global one. AppliedHE aims at evaluating professional education. Its rating system is an independent and non-governmental that aims to provide the stakeholders with credible information about the quality of skills-based employment-focused learning programs at all levels of education. Their rating system, in my assessment, especially under the conditions of the COVID-19 pandemic, fills important gaps and voids in all other global rankings. Besides, it holds many potential benefits, including showcasing program strengths, benchmarking performance, understanding stakeholder needs and priorities. Finally, last but not least, I'd like to welcome you all again and thank you for dropping in, wishing you a happy and prosperous new year full of success and achievement. Thank you all. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Professor. Then allow me to introduce Mandy Monk, our CEO. She will do her opening remarks and then her presentation.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
Right. Happy New Year. Welcome to AppliedHE Xchange, MENA. My name is Mandy Monk, and I'm the founder and CEO of AppliedHE. It is a real pleasure to have such a large and diverse audience today, and I thank all of you for joining us. The focus of today's AppliedHE's Xchange webinar, as the name suggests, is an exchanging information. We want to tell you more about what we're doing at AppliedHE. We want to share the experiences of senior academics from different parts of the world, and we want to hear your viewpoints and questions from the audience. What are your concerns, your questions, your biggest challenges? So we really envision an exchange and not just a one-way stream of conversation. Before we begin, allow me to thank our hosting partners, Amman Arab University and the Association of Arab Universities, AARU. We are very grateful for your support in inviting university leaders from around the region to join this webinar. My thanks also to our guest speakers today, Professor Muhammad Al-Widin, President of Amman Arab University, Jordan, Professor Saad Abu Qudais, Vice President of Al-Baqqa Applied University, Jordan, Professor Judith Lamé, Managing Director of JL Education Consultants, UK, and Professor Abdurrahim A. Ahunaiti, Assistant Secretary General, AARU, and Director, Quality Assurance and Accreditation Council, Jordan. Thank you, everyone, and I wish you all an insightful and engaging session. In this presentation, I would like to introduce the company AppliedHE and the global branding strategies that we have created to help institutions with branding and even their rankings. I will go through our list of products and services that has already been launched and will briefly give you a glimpse of our future plans to illustrate the scalability and sustainability of AppliedHE. About myself, I have been with QS for the last 17 years and have contributed significantly to its global branding and brand equity. I've played a big part in monetizing the rankings and created many memorable products and events for the company, like QS Apple, QS Maple, which you may be very familiar with because this conference only moves around the MENA region, the QS Worldwide event, World Class, Wow News, Top Universities Guide, just to name a few. I've also created many first-of-its-kind activities like the Apple Creative Awards, QS Squared debates, golf tournaments, tennis friendlies, and much more. AppliedHE was created because companies from all over the world are looking for more employable people, and that is why we feel it is time for a new concept in higher education, time for an independent and international higher education rating system that recognizes excellence in employability, industry collaboration, and teaching and learning. It's time for a new suite of services that will accelerate your institution's global marketing and branding presence. And it's time for a new perspective on international partnerships and collaboration that includes industry and other stakeholders. Therefore, it is time for AppliedHE, and we are the new kid on the block. AppliedHE is the new brand for all skills-based employment-focused education, and our mission is designed to help universities to communicate with your stakeholders, engage with your international peers, industry, and governments, and brand your institution worldwide, including improving in the rankings. Branding and rankings are key activities for every institution because they influence student and faculty recruitment, research and international collaborations, government policies, etc. So an institution needs to invest in branding and by extension rankings, because trying to be the best kept secret in higher education is not how you recruit top students and faculty, and definitely not how you pitch for government and industry research dollars, etc. At AppliedHE, we can give you the platforms to brand yourself more effectively. We have our rankings and ratings, which will give you the facts, the firepower, the proof, whatever you want to call it, to present how good your institution is to its stakeholders. We have our online services, which maximizes your institution's online presence. Because let's face it, whether it's online dating or a university degree, these days, most new connections happen online first. And we have our events that make you part of a community of like-minded and ambitious education leaders who share new ideas, best practices, and contexts that help everyone move forward together. So if you do decide to invest in your brand and ranking, you want to do it with the right partner. Regardless of the kind of institution that you are, as a marketing message, we will help you let your target audience know in a few words that you are skills and job ready and ready to tackle whatever any future job may bring. So being part of AppliedHE amplifies your brand internationally, and it is immediately understood that your programs help students get good jobs. For institutions interested in improving in the rankings, AppliedHE media and global events will help you build your global reputation and will do so in a highly effective and economical way. Associating with AppliedHE is a natural co-branding choice. Once you're associated with our brand, whether it's through the ratings or on our website or events, you will be able to carry our brand and the value it stands for. Global, independent, and excellence in skills-based, employment-focused higher education. And combine that with your own brand values, which is largely embedded in your local economy and society, you will find that they are highly complementary with the AppliedHE brand. But what about these guys? Well, don't ignore them. They are important because they offer a free platform for you to shine on the global stage. And we can help by providing advisory services on how to improve your positioning. You'll be pleased to know that we provide the solutions and strategies to meet every criteria and indicator in the rankings. These are the QS ranking indicators on the left, and on the right, you will see that we have the solutions or strategy for each and every indicator. Not just the QS rankings, also for the THE rankings, we have the solution for every indicator as well. In fact, we have the solution for all the rankings out there. Ever since the first rankings of world universities appeared in 2003, there has been a huge proliferation of ranking providers all over the world. So whichever one that you're keen to support, we have the solution and the strategies to help you step up. And also, because of the proliferation of so many rankings, it is very confusing for your stakeholders, like your students, the parents, and even the industry, etc. Therefore, we have decided to simplify things with the launch of our own ranking. And in 2 weeks' time, on the 27th of January, we will be launching the AppliedHE Rankometer. We believe that there are too many different rankings today. One can hardly see the forest through all the trees. So we've come up with a new methodology that will settle the question of university rankings once and for all. Intrigued? My colleague Peter will give you a sneak preview of the Middle East institutions in a while. This is the rankings for the world, but he will do an extraction of the Middle East to give you a perspective. In the following slides, I'd like to introduce the initiatives of AppliedHE. Let's start with Initiative 1, our new and creative Job Ready rating system. We call it the Job Ready rating, a unique and catchy name with a very positive connotation, Job Ready, and it is a great marketing tool to help you achieve what you aspire to achieve. The AppliedHE Job Ready rating is so versatile that it can be applied to fit universities, professional institutions, and by professional we mean the vocational, the TVETs, polytechnics, and colleges. It is also created to fit business schools and online education. The Job Ready rating applies to any skills-based, employment-focused tertiary education program where students are prepared for a clearly defined job or occupational pathway. We distinguish ourselves from other generalist higher education as they generally have no clear career pathway. Our ratings is aimed at evaluating professional education such as engineering, nursing, medicine, law, accounting, art and design, media. Basically any program that involves industry collaboration will fall under this new brand, AppliedHE Job Ready rating, regardless of whether it is for universities, online education, professional institutions, and business schools. Here's the perspective, the new perspective, the creative twist. We do not do a rating of your institution per se. We rate your institution based on your programs by employment cluster. And the employment cluster is adapted from the International Standard Industrial Classification. This means we can now bring a spotlight to your every program, big or small. And currently there is no marketing tool in the market to help you achieve this. Take, for example, the employment cluster healthcare. The mainstream subjects that fall under healthcare are your medicine, dentistry, nursing, etc. But what about the smaller ones like radiology, physiotherapy, hospital administration, etc.? Now with the AppliedHE Job Ready ratings methodology, we can bring the global spotlight to your every program, whether it's big or small. There are 22 employment clusters from the International Standard Industrial Classification, and it covers all sectors of the economy. And the list is growing daily because the world is changing so fast that there are many jobs out there today that never existed in the past. Jobs like these: e-commerce, gaming, coding, social media marketing, influencer, blogger, just to name a few. And these are not even proper words in the past, but today they are reputable and very much sought after jobs. And our unique approach to rating by employment clusters can accommodate these new jobs and the future economy. Let me give you a quick overview of the criteria. They're basically three pillars: outcome, delivery, and institutional context. And they can be applied for any sector, be it universities, online education, professional, and business school. It's easy to implement. Institutions just need to make sure that stakeholders respond. Ratings are valid for 3 years and are highly effective as a branding and quality improvement tool, which you can use it to excel in things that matter to you, like the rankings, student recruitment, research collaboration, funding, etc. Under the outcome of the program, you will be able to have access to information pertaining to issues like graduate reputation, employability, remuneration, advancement, and entrepreneurship. And under delivery of the employment cluster, you'll have access to information like teaching and learning, faculty quality, student industry exposure, intercultural competence, and international exposure. And under the third pillar, we look at issues like institutional reputation, inclusiveness and accessibility, applied research, community engagement. You will note that many of our criteria overlaps with the goals of the SDG. The AppliedHE Job Ready rating is done primarily by surveys to your stakeholders, your students, faculty, employers, alumni. What this means is you will have access to market intelligence of your key stakeholders, and these information are very relevant to your strategies, future plans, internal decision-making, KPIs, etc. It is market intelligence that you do not have to pay a hefty sum for, as it comes as part of the ratings. This means you may not even have to engage in consultancy projects, which can be very costly. It's all part of our effort to help you stretch your budget as much as possible. And once rated, you will be presented with the AppliedHE Job Ready Ratings badge, and you can use it on all your marketing materials. The ratings are awarded by employment cluster, and the country of origin is clearly stated so that stakeholders are clear on the market that they serve. Institutions can score from 1 to 5 job ready, with 5 representing the best institutions, and the rating badges are valid for 3 years. You will also receive a certificate listing the score and all the evaluated programs. So this means even your smallest program will be able to share the global limelight, and you can use the certificate in all your marketing materials as well. Being job ready rated offers institutions an advantage over their international competition. It reflects to the world at large that your programs and students are ready for the world. The ratings will enable your institution to be authoritative. Why? Because our methodology is based on recommendations endorsed by the ILO and UNESCO. It's sustainable as a number of our rating criteria overlaps with the Sustainable Development Goals. It also signals that your students are Industry 4.0 ready, they are employable. And on the global front, this is the first international higher education rating system born in ASEAN for the world. The following 5 unique features place the AppliedHE Job Ready rating system in a class of its own. The rating criteria is unique because it's designed to measure the quality of teaching and learning, industry training and collaboration, and employability. These are areas that are highly valued by students, employers, and society at large. Rating by employment cluster is unique because students and employers often choose institutions based on the industry they serve, making ratings by employment cluster the most meaningful for all stakeholders. The brand value is unique because the AppliedHE brand is aimed at students who see education primarily as a pathway to a successful career. The Job Ready rating sends a clear message to this student demographic who work hard, are willing to invest in their education, and have the right attitude and skills that employers need. Our actionable insight is unique because we have a built-in quality improvement system. Basically, what you're getting is market intelligence from the horse's mouth. You are getting a wealth of insights to help you set strategies so that you can apply them to your KPIs and planning. And we also provide a unique pathway to partnerships because an AppliedHE Job Ready rating is an admission ticket to our exclusive network of events and media, which are invaluable for developing international and industry academic partnerships. Our initiative number 2, EMI Ready Rating. EMI stands for English as a Medium of Instruction. The EMI Ready Rating is a great tool to evaluate an institution's English medium of instruction readiness. Now, many universities around the world offer programs in English, but the level and completeness of English language instruction varies greatly, especially for universities from non-English speaking countries which offer English language degree programs. The AppliedHE EMI Ready Rating can be a useful internal benchmarking tool and a great marketing tool to recruit international students. Some challenges of EMI. Currently, there is no global standard for EMI, and therefore courses taught in English in non-English speaking countries can vary greatly in their content. Students and faculty both struggle due to limited English language capabilities, and often the focus of EMI courses is combined with the local language, making English a second language. I understand that most of the courses taught in the Middle East is in English. So while this may seem irrelevant to you, it is, however, a great marketing tool for the recruitment of international students. I won't go into the criteria and process of the EMI Ready Rating, as I'm aware of my time allotment. And as part of, but I wish to state that to become EMI ready is another strategy to increase your competitiveness by proving to external stakeholders, including prospective students, that you offer high quality EMI. The rating can also serve as an internal benchmarking tool so that it can communicate to internal stakeholders that EMI must be taken seriously. Therefore, any institution offering EMI in a non-English speaking environment should seriously consider the EMI Ready Rating. Initiative number 3, Online Ready Rating. Online education, which used to be a virgin space in terms of regulation and also often seen as second best and for those needing a second chance. But in today's environment, online degrees are an increasingly appealing alternative to traditional on-campus programs. COVID-19 has brought the future forward. Everyone is going online these days, including us. So I shall let Peter tell you more about our Online Ready Rating. Next is initiative number 4. We can help you tell your stories to the world with our AppliedHE online newsletter called Extra Extra, again unique to AppliedHE. Here, we will help you to promote your institutional news on the global stage, and this is a complimentary service from us. All you have to do is send us your news that are extraordinary, and we will publish and promote it to your targeted global audience. It might interest you to know that in this short period of time, Extra Extra is now indexed by Google News. So what this means is our readership is growing rapidly, and we can now truly promote you on the global stage and at no charge at all. Therefore, this is a great and targeted medium to showcase stories from the higher education sector to the world. So for readers, it will enable them to receive all the latest news from their favorite news sources in one place. And for institutions that submit news, your stories will reach a much wider audience. Initiative number 5, let me introduce our webinars and events. When the pandemic hit last year, and there was no way we can travel for our physical events, so instead of moping around and feeling sorry for ourselves, we started a series of Squaring the Circle debate webinars. It was fun, it was provocative, it was very refreshing, and I believe we were the most active in the online space as we were organizing a webinar every other week from the month of June till the end of the year. And we are continuing into this new year with the first 3 episodes of Squaring the Circle debate already planned. Starting from 3rd of March with a very controversial title, the AppliedHE Rankometer is a welcome addition to the global rankings landscape. Now, bearing in mind, we are the creators of Rankometer, so I'm sure this episode will be a very exciting and controversial discussion. Alternating every other month with Squaring the Circle debate is the Fireside Chat, with the first session on the 7th of April. And you will notice that we have very unique topics for discussion. You'll also note that our webinars are always on a Wednesday evening, always at 8 p.m. Singapore time. So from the month of March onwards, please be available on the first Wednesday of every month at 8 p.m. Singapore time. We also organize Xchange webinars on clients' topic of interest, and the first one to kick off 2021 is the future of higher education qualifications, Change is coming, but to what degree? So do join us as we have a great diversity of speakers from the UAE, Ireland, Hong Kong, Malaysia, and the UK. Just to give you an idea of what kind of topics or themes for our exchange webinars, here are some examples from last year. We had this one focusing on higher education consortia, and this one focusing on professional higher education, the first of its kind in our sector. We ran this as a two-part webinar with the first day covering the policy perspective with speakers from Sri Lanka, Germany, Malaysia, and the Philippines. And on the next day, we focus on the practitioner perspective with speakers from Thailand, Kenya, Singapore, Indonesia, and Germany. This one was by special request from the government of CAR and Russia. CAR stands for Central Asia region. Very much like this one that we're doing now for the MENA region. In discussion, now we have one Exchange Taiwan and one Exchange China coming up in the very near future. The reason why I'm showing you all these recent past events and future ones is to show you how active we are in the online space, even though we can't travel for our physical events. And speaking of physical events, of course we have physical events, but they need to be on hold now. To give you a quick introduction of our physical events, which also go by the brand Xchange, we have exchange events by employment cluster. For example, you can host one on healthcare or exchange IT. Or if you want to drill down to a specific subject, you can host an exchange by subject, example, exchange nursing or exchange dentistry. Or you can host an exchange by region, for example, exchange Asia or exchange Middle East, or drill down to a specific country, exchange Jordan or exchange Japan. These events are an effective strategy for global branding and networking. We had all these events lined up for the physical launch of AppliedHE at the start of last year. Unfortunately, the pandemic does not allow us to continue with these events planned. We only managed to execute up to Pakistan in February before COVID hits. I'm showing you this slide to give you a sense of how active we are on the ground, and it makes sense to go with any ranking or rating agency or company that is very active online and on the ground, so that you will also benefit from the dynamic momentum and global exposure by maximizing your brand association with us. So all those products and services will launch in the short space of time since we started the company on the 1st of January 2020. And now for a quick peek of what we have to offer in 2021. Next week, on the 20th of January, Wednesday, we will be launching the world's first social media platform for the higher education sector. It's called AppliedHE Future. AppliedHE Future offers the 3 E's: education, employment, and everything in between. And they are the most important career milestones in life, from the moment you are a high school student to being a student in higher education, to being a successful graduate, employer, entrepreneur, or even an alumni donor. And all these stakeholders will be centered around institutions and industries and the 22 employment clusters that I introduced earlier. There is nothing like this on the market, so we are in a very blue ocean indeed. So please watch out for the soft launch scheduled for 20th January 2021. It will be in the form of a video launch. But for now, let's have a look at our teaser ad that just went out today. And as mentioned earlier, scheduled to launch a week after Future on the 27th of January is the AppliedHE Rankometer. There has been a proliferation of university rankings in recent years. Students, parents, and employers simply don't know where to look for a reliable comparison of universities. So with the Rankometer, we have solved that problem by providing a transparent and reliable measure of university quality. The Rankometer launch is in the form of a webinar, and if you have not already signed up for it, please do so here. Simply appliedhe.com/Rankometer. And again, to reiterate, we are the new kid on the block, so please give us your support. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Mandy. In the interest of time, we move right on to our next speaker, who is Professor Abu Qudais Vice President of Al Balqa Applied University. He's an active member of BAU's senior management team as the Vice President for Scientific Research, International Cooperation, and Quality Assurance, and he has extensive experience in teaching and research, strategic planning, curriculum design and development, accreditation, quality assurance, and graduate employability throughout Jordan's higher education sector. He's a strong advocate of international collaboration, community and industry engagement, and a firm believer in higher education's socio-economic transformative power. His strong record in fundraising has seen BAU secure substantial funds to improve its programs and offerings, meet higher education's evolving demands, and help BAU students realize their full potential. Professor, the floor is yours. And let's make sure you're unmuted. Yes, you're unmuted. Fantastic. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Good day, everybody. Let me begin by thanking you for the opportunity to talk and share with you our Balqa Applied University journey to excellence, which has inspired us, and we hope it will inspire others as well. To begin with, it is important to underscore that we understand that good leadership in education works to enrich learner experience mentally, socially, and emotionally. Our philosophy embraces this as well, but we are also focused on going beyond temporary score achievement. We want to promote lasting, flexible, and continued involvement in the surrounding community and beyond. This, we believe, personify our understanding of sustainable leadership. We think that what has happened in BAU in the last few years is a prime example of sustainable leadership, one that invests in human capital, contributes to fulfilling global goals, participates in policy making, and actively engages with applied research to provide sustainable solutions for different challenges. We believe that our model, which I will discuss shortly, has ultimately raised BAU profile internationally and can be adopted by others who strive for excellence and international recognition. This model is our blueprint to our journey, which, as you can see, is divided into three parts: leadership, journey to goals, and results and impacts. And I will try to discuss each one of those briefly. Let me begin by discussing our strategy guidelines. When we joined BAU as senior management team, we developed and adopted a successful business model. This model was the first among Jordanian universities. We also embraced a focused learning for employment agenda based on internationally successful applied models. In addition, we realized that we need to implement a cost-effective approach as BAU had very limited resources, and we needed to utilize what we had. So we also invested in existing human and financial capital and strengthened our national and international partnership. In terms of governance, we utilize governance as a tool to ensure sound decision-making. We also applied governance to all BAU levels and promoted international standards and best practices. This reinforced principles for transparency, equality, and rule of law across BAU. In addition, we adopted governance as a principle for improvement and accountability. Closely related to strategy and governance is the vigilance, and here we knew from the beginning that we needed to keep up with what's going around us. So we continue to monitor, predict, respond, and plan for the future. We have also integrated technology into our administrative and academic environments. and understand the importance of providing an inspiring environment for innovation and creativity for the good of our institution and communities. And so these three cornerstones have led our path so far. So let me now tell you a little about our journey from planning to doing. Let us first look at the core of each university, education and learning. And let us share what we have done there. We have adopted recent teaching methods and strategies, introduced new programs based on careful market needs analysis. We have also restructured colleges and programs in line with international models, but we have done so while paying close attention to our community's particular needs. I would also say that we are revolutionizing applied education through our innovative framework on bridging, permeability, and professional certification, which has just been approved by the Jordanian government. And last but not least, we continue to support and promote sustainable long life learning for our communities. Moving on from learning to another important aspects in our view is that of creativity and innovation. Here I would like to highlight the work BAU has done and continues to do in promoting and supporting an applied scientific research culture via generous funding, the establishment of dedicated centers and workshops, and the like. We are also collaborating with a wide number of partners and sponsors in setting up business incubators to support creativity and innovation, and have also funded dedicated center for creativity and innovation. So this is a short overview of our work on supporting creativity and innovation, but it is important to remember that we don't work alone. And now I would like to highlight our work with stakeholders and how we engage with our partners as well. For us, students and alumni are the heart of our university. And here we continue to empower our students through engagement across university activities and councils. We have also encouraged our academic to work with their international peers to enrich research, and we work with partners on a number of ventures to improve our services, infrastructure, and facilitate students and academic exchange. We also work closely with our communities to solve the problems, collaborate on meeting their needs, and ultimately contributing to fulfilling global SDGs. We also realize that investing in our human capitals means that we need to continue to build their skill sets and support their growth, which we do via capacity building. These are but a few examples of how we work and engage with our stakeholders and communities. And all this work that I have mentioned above leads me now to discuss our results and the impact they have had on BAU. So in discussing results, I can confidently say that we have met more than 95% of our total strategy goals. And these numbers in front of you are proof of concrete results that BAU has had from stakeholders, partnership made, research involvement, and certification. But this is not all, as we continue to work to improve and continue to strive for excellence. And as you can see, there is a long list of what we have done and what we will continue to work on. For example, restructuring colleges to follow polytechnic models, developing current e-content and system to better support students' learning, fostering academic performance via dedicated university reputation and outreach office. This hard work and this commitment to excellence has also reflected on our international impact and outreach, as you can see in our most recent ranking, where BAU has made wide strides, for example, in THE, QoS Arab region, and others. This is not all. We are also being recognized in a number of events, such as being shortlisted for the Outstanding Leadership Management Team Award, and we are working toward international accreditation in a number of standards and have so far 4 patents, which we are sure will increase. In addition, we are also the first in Jordanian students intake and second of research, and our graduates' employment numbers are among the highest in Jordan, as well as in our work with international partners. So it is safe to say that BAU has come a long way, and we believe that our BAU model has built a clear path to achieving our goals. It has also enabled us to serve our immediate and extended community and the students. It is a living example of viable model to achieve international recognition and ranking. We believe that it provides formula for success for others who are looking to improve their performance and secure their international place in world rankings such as AppliedHE. I hope this quick overview has given you a better idea about BAU and where we are now. Thank you for listening, and I welcome any question if there is any. Thank you.
Fantastic, Professor Saad. Thank you very much for that insightful perspective. Now we'll move on to the next speaker, who is Professor Judith Lamy. She's a highly experienced educationist, having worked in the education sector for more than 30 years. She's held senior executive positions at several universities, providing institutional leadership in marketing and student recruitment, business engagement, online learning, and international development. And she's been responsible for running offices and campuses both in the UK and overseas. And she's an experienced leader, manager, and consultant, and managing director of JL Education Consultants. And she's done many more things. Also interesting point, she's a linguist in her academic background, and she's published many articles about that. Now, without further ado, Professor Judith Lamy.
Thank you very much for that great introduction, Peter. I really appreciate that. Just to also mention, I'm actually also a chair of the Navitas Board of Directors, and presently I'm interim Pro Vice Chancellor International at the University of Bedfordshire. So the title of my talk today is Online Learning for Impact, Experience and Best Practice from the UK. I'm conscious while talking that there's a wealth of knowledge and expertise, both on this panel and in the room. But what I've done is just selected a few examples for you of experiences that we've had in the UK. So there are no PowerPoint slides. It's just me talking. Hopefully you will find this of interest and it will spark some thoughts. So online learning isn't a new phenomenon, but the current global health pandemic has brought into sharp focus its benefits and opportunities, as well as its challenges and risks. So in this presentation, I'll share with you some of the experiences that we've had in the UK with online learning. I'll share some of our success stories, as well as highlight some of the challenges and risks and the lessons that we have learned and are continuing to learn with this innovative but often controversial educational pedagogy. The current global health pandemic has sharpened the focus on educational institutions' engagement with digital technology. The massive online pivot during the early stages of the pandemic sparked innovation and showed what is possible, but it also exposed some of the gaps in institutional digital capabilities. A major change during the pandemic was the use of, and indeed reliance on, online communication. There have long been issues with the use of online teaching and learning, ranging from access, equity, capability, pedagogy, and formal recognition. Within a period of roughly 24 hours, many elements of the education sector went from viewing online suspiciously to wholeheartedly accepting it. And while this is perhaps somewhat misguided, it does demonstrate an ability for all of us to adapt and evolve. Online learning has provided opportunities for international interaction, marked an increase in online course offering, and seen a plethora of free content and webinars, such as the excellent webinars that we've had with AppliedHE, usually across multiple locations and time zones, all of which work supporting and promoting internationalization. And I'll return to this shortly. So first, a little history. The UK has got a long tradition of online and distance learning. The first correspondence courses began, would you believe, in the 1800s, using parcel post to reach students who couldn't be on a university campus. Now, I might have been in higher education a long time, but I wasn't actually here in the 1800s. I'm just putting out there, as Peter did tell everybody how long I've been doing this. But the University of London was a birthplace for long distance learning. It began in 1858, and it allowed students to study for degrees outside of London, but study for their degrees, and it spread higher education across the globe. They introduced new subjects and brought higher education, including modern language and laboratory science, to many, many more people. They were the first to give external students the opportunity to continue to earn a living while studying, and to study privately and take exams without having to come to London. So you can imagine at the time it was highly innovative and very different. For almost 200 years, they've improved the lives of millions of people. And this prompted the author, Charles Dickens, who I'm sure you've heard of calling them the People's University. So it seemed very appropriate to use the University of London as an example here. So with the advent of the World Wide Web in the 1980s, and many people here might even remember when that began, I certainly remember when it began. It wasn't long really before learning materials began to appear online. And although the term e-learning didn't come into existence really until the 1990s, there was much talk at the time that we were on the cusp of a learning revolution. However, it wasn't so much a revolution as an opportunity to access the same teaching content in a different way. The significant change in pedagogical skills and emergence of innovative delivery and content didn't really materialize. CD-ROMs, for those of you that remember these things, do you remember CD-ROMs? They were the new big thing, and literally they were big. They were massive, weren't they? They were the new big thing. But online learning, in what we recognize it as now, in its mature pedagogical strength, with its depth of quality, had really yet to take off. Gradually, computers were being introduced into schools and into universities. And although CD-ROMs continued to be popular, with few schools really using the internet, even at this stage. So online learning, even though we expected it to really take off very quickly, was actually quite slow to start. And there were, of course, challenges with computer technology, and challenges for many of the teachers in terms of their ability to use the technology. And probably for many people, one of the problems there was that there wasn't a lot of training for the teachers involved. And I remember at that stage being one of these teachers at university involved. This is an issue I think we would do well to note as we develop and move on, particularly in terms of online learning. But the pace of change was about to quicken. And in 2000, in the UK, a joint initiative was set up between the UK government, 12 universities and private industry. And I'm minded of what Professor Abou-Kadias was just saying about that link in with business and industry and how important that is. This new initiative set up a company that started to offer undergraduate, postgraduate and lifelong learning in subjects such as English language and science, and deliver it online. However, the take-up was very poor, and in 2004, it was declared a failure. However, and of course we can always learn from our failures, it did illustrate the really important benefit of universities working with government and industry, not least to ensure that graduates are job ready. It was around this time that the first rapid e-learning authoring tools came to the marketplace. Unfortunately, this started a trend for low cost, low quality and poorly designed learning content, both on the open market and in many in-house company training areas. This harmed for some time the reputation of e-learning. And this reputation, many actually have clung on to even today. These authoring tools, however, have moved on significantly, and so have the skills of those using them. However, again, learning from past experience, we need to note that there is a vital importance of maintaining quality. So despite this early failure in the UK, many universities started to expand their offer online. These included the University of London, that has gone from strength to strength to strength, to Dundee University in Scotland, Birmingham University and the University of Derby, to name just but a few. Building courses around the flexibility needed by professionals, providing extensive connections with industry and professional bodies, and maintaining and enhancing quality were all key in all of these developments, as was ensuring staff were provided with the relevant training and that the student experience and student outcomes were at the heart of the various strategies and plans. It was at this time that the University of Derby, and I worked as Pro-Vice Chancellor at the University of Derby and responsible for online learning for a number of years, it was at this time that it developed its University of Derby Online. And I'm going to use this just as a short case study for you now. So the vision of the University of Derby Online, UDOL for short, was to transform lives and to have business impact through world-class, accessible, innovative digital learning solutions. And it did this very much in partnership with its key stakeholders. It designed and developed a range of accessible digital learning solutions, and it designed them to have a transformational impact. And now it's approaching its 15th year. You know, many universities have done this. I'm just using this as an illustrative example. But there are a few things in particular I think we can learn from this and other successes in the United Kingdom. One is it was firmly embedded within the university. So it was very much a close collaboration with the academic colleges, and it also ensured that students and their academic performance and their related outcomes such as retention, graduation and satisfaction were at the heart of the strategy. So whenever we develop things online, we must ensure that it's embedded within our university academic culture. And again, I think that's something that the professor mentioned earlier. Secondly, it focused on an excellent experience for students. Students were involved in a variety of activities aimed at different cognitive domains of learning. There's a strong pre-course learning orientation program related to time planning. It's very different studying and doing things online than it is if you're doing things face-to-face. Learning tips and how to support students, so various supporting techniques. Every stage of the process was quality assured, and staff highly trained so that they could support this new learning pedagogy. Finally, there's a strong connection into business and industry, and the portfolio therefore was very much relevant for industry, providing job-ready graduates and up to date. But there were challenges. It's not that there weren't challenges, and I'm just going to touch on a few of these challenges before providing us with a brief summary. Some of the challenges, I think, or potential disadvantages may apply to all online providers and indeed to other forms of educational provisions, such as transnational education, something that particularly in Jordan, colleagues across the Middle East are excellent in. They include challenges of accessibility. Yes, online learning is flexible. You can access it where you want and when you want, but you do have to have the right technology. And we had a little bit of an indication of some of the challenges with technology today, so we always need to be mindful of that, particularly when we're working with our students. Other challenges include recognition. Are online degrees recognized in all countries? Cost. Sometimes there's the false notion that online learning is cheaper than face-to-face learning and teaching. Let's do it online. That'll save us money. That is not going to happen. It isn't cheaper. It's just a different way of delivering. Another challenge can be around quality, benchmarking and measures. And we've heard a little bit about different ways in which we're measuring in the future through AppliedHE today. There are many ways in which we measure face-to-face learning and teaching, and ways that we all know and understand, and ways that have been approved at local level and also at national level. But this isn't yet the case for online learning, but maybe certainly with the help of people such as AppliedHE, we can start to develop that so that we can have those measures and the parameters across different forms of delivery. There is, in many ways, no binary divide, and that can also be a challenge. Sometimes people think you have to have online learning or you have to have face-to-face, but of course that does not have to happen. And indeed, that hasn't been the case if you think about it during the pandemic. So what I want to do is just finally round off with a few key points. With all of this in mind, and having heard from the Prof earlier on and Mandy earlier on as well, are we now truly at the beginning of a new age? When Shirky in 2015 wrote, "The digital revolution in higher education has already happened," he was referring merely to the fact that American universities taking a course online is now normal. More than twice as many American students do online courses as live on campuses. This is the same in many ways to people across Europe and across the UK. Online learning is now, and this is a phrase we wouldn't have used 12 months ago, is now the new normal. It provides opportunities for access that can be more firmly embedded within our academic delivery model without appearing to be of lesser value to our students. So while research findings vary on the role of technology in achieving learning outcomes and successes, there is evidence that online learning increases flexibility and access for students, so more students can engage with learning. There is evidence that it promotes information exchange and interaction, and crucially, that it increases the development of those critical thinking skills that we are so keen to promote at university. The gap between academia and industry has been evident and indeed growing for some time. Old jobs are probably fading out as new jobs start to arise, and higher education in many ways is in a bit of flux. There's a clear argument to be made that although the sole purpose of higher education isn't to make graduates employable, surely this has got to be one of those really key purposes. So to summarize, I think learning from the successes of and failures of what we have done in the UK in the past, as we move to the next phase of education, and we are still, of course, struggling with the challenges around COVID, particularly in the United Kingdom at the moment. What do I think, and this is my personal opinion, what do I think we need to do? I think we need to engage positively and proactively with new technologies emerging, and we need to engage with this new phase in online education. We need to recognize, and again, the Prof mentioned this earlier, the importance of collaboration and partnership, the importance of collaboration and partnership across universities, and the importance of collaboration and partnership with industry. We need to ensure that whatever platform we have an accessible platform for everybody. And we particularly need to ensure that we provide our staff with the support that they need and the training that is required. Finally, the current pandemic has brought firmly to light issues that perhaps have been overlooked for some time. The relevance and appropriateness of assessment, issues of student engagement, reliance on international markets and student mobility, and indeed the entire true value and purpose of higher education. But I think, although this is a challenging time, it's a really exciting time to be part of the education landscape. It's not a time for the faint-hearted. It was a massive challenge for the University of London 200 years ago to develop distance learning programs, but they rose to that challenge and they've succeeded. The timeline that we all thought we had 12 months ago has completely changed. We're in a different world now. The future is uncertain, and sometimes that can be a concern for people, but there will be a future. And like it or not, online learning is here and it's here to stay. Your choice is not whether to engage, but really how are you going to engage? We need to embrace this change. We can learn from the past, build on the successes, and take forward our education system into the next stage, the next century, and beyond. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Judith, for that inspiring. I'm getting very excited by those wonderful words. Ladies and gentlemen, just for a programming note, we are running a little bit late, so I highly encourage you, if you have a question to any of the speakers, put it in the Q&A. And also speakers, if you can find the Q&A, you can perhaps answer a specific question if it comes up. Now let me share my screen and do my presentation. So apologies that we might not have much time for our kind of on-screen Q&A, which we will resolve with technology coming to the rescue. So I will actually give you 3 tiny presentations in a row. The first one is about Rankometer, which Mandy already talked about. It's our soon-to-launch AppliedHE combined ranking, and I'll give you the first preview of the methodology of everything worldwide. So you're really at the cutting edge. Nobody has ever seen this before outside of AppliedHE. So let's go. So Rankometer is basically a ranking based on other rankings. So we've selected 5 of the most influential rankings published in 2020, which rank at least 1,000 universities. And if you look at influence, then you come out with 5: the QS, ARWU from China, THE from the UK, the Leiden ranking in the Netherlands, and the Webometrics ranking from Spain. Now, there are some other rankings, but they are not influential enough according to our criterion. So the Rankometer scoring system is very simple. It's basically, we add up the different rankings that an institution gets, and then we calculate the points. So if you're ranked 15th, you get 15 points in one, and you get 29th, you get 29 points in the other. And it's like a game of golf. The aim is to have the lowest score at the end of the day. There are some further methodological notes, which I'll skip over for this presentation. Now, the first thing that's interesting to note is that there are quite large differences between the different rankings. So you might think, oh, all the rankings are more or less the same. Well, actually, their correlation is not as high as you might think, with some of them really quite low, such as Webometrics with the times higher World University ranking, or even the Leiden ranking having much, much lower correlations. If we look at the Middle East and Africa, and we're purely looking at this from a geographic perspective, in fact, only 17 institutions show up in the Rankometer, and the Rankometer has 500 institutions in total. So that's not that many. The biggest country is Israel, followed by South Africa, then Saudi Arabia and other countries. Unfortunately, not yet a Jordanian institution. And this also shows a little bit the shortcomings of rankings, which I'll get to in a moment. Now, the top ranked university in this region is Hebrew University of Jerusalem, followed by King Abdulaziz University, and then Tel Aviv University, University of Cape Town, and so on. Now, the question that you might ask if you start to compare different rankings is there a bias? Are certain rankings more favorable to institutions from particular countries? And that's the nice thing if you start doing these kinds of comparisons. Are certain ranking systems kinder to universities from certain countries? And I apologize now for just showing you, something went wrong here. Some raw data. And these are basically regression analysis. And I will quickly skip through and then show you the final conclusion, because otherwise it doesn't make much sense. Now you can see that UK institutions do particularly well in the QS and THE rankings, but they're relatively weak in the Leiden or the Webometrics rankings. Sorry, that's US institutions. UK institutions are very strong in ARWU, but weaker in the Leiden rankings. And Chinese institutions are very strong in QS and THE. They on average rank 50 to 60 places higher there than they do in other rankings, relatively weak in the ARWU. Of course, the ARWU is from China itself, so it's quite interesting that Chinese universities don't perform so well there. Now, for Israeli universities, you don't see a particular ranking where they perform particularly well. For South African institutions, you see they do very well in the Leiden ranking, and for the Middle East institutions, and we've had to group these because the sample size is a bit small, they're very strong in the Webometrics ranking. So those are very interesting outcomes. And of course, every ranking system has a certain preference, none is perfect, but yeah, they do show a difference between perhaps national or regional university systems. So basically, Rankometer, it's a simple and transparent methodology. It's very easy to calculate, replicate. It's based on influence, which reflects a kind of average perception or reputation score. And universities that tend to perform very highly tend to do well across all 5 of the rankings. So yes, if there is a bias in Rankometer, it's that the all-round performance, they perform relatively well. Now, Rankometer, the official launch is on January 27th of this year, and you can register for that, get the invitation, and then I will talk a lot more about the methodology. Now, the issue with rankings like this one is that they are primarily focused on research, and that is one of the main criticisms that comes out in all of this academic research about rankings. Now, basically, the AppliedHE job-ready rating methodology aims to complement the research. We try to highlight the other dimensions of higher education, because we know that there are so many institutions out there whose research performance by global standards might not be fantastic, perhaps primarily due to national budget constraints, but who do extremely well in other areas. And so I'd briefly like to touch on some of the highlights of our AppliedHE job ready rating. Again, not going through every step out of the interest of time. When we were designing the AppliedHE job ready rating, we said, oh, this is fantastic. We have an opportunity to start something completely new. We wanted something to be relevant to stakeholders. So we talked to institutions, university leaders like yourself to find out, okay, what are the issues that are really of concern to you? We wanted to be parsimonious, because the people who provide us information, we don't want to weigh them too much. We wanted to be non-prescriptive, because excellence comes in many forms. And what that means is basically that we don't want to force a certain model on an institution. Because many of the rankings and ratings tend to force a certain model of higher education and evaluate based on that model. And we wanted to avoid that. And we want to focus on the fundamentals by measuring what's really important now and in the future. Now, Mandy already mentioned IR 4.0 and the SDGs, and these were 2 areas that kept coming up when we had focus group discussions, although we didn't specifically aim to measure them, but they turned out to be very relevant. So we have 4 to 3 different rating variants. We have a professional and a university/business school. Now, professional is for institutions which declare that they don't do research. It's not part of their mission. So they evaluate it slightly differently from the universities and the business schools. And then we also have an online learning rating, which is, of course, for not on-campus degrees. So we have the full spectrum there of ratings. Mandy already mentioned this is mainly a kind of organization tool, because we know people search for a job or for an industry before they pick a university. Now, to be job ready rated, an institution has to be locally accredited. It needs to offer secondary school leaving certificates or diploma. Offer programs with a clear career path, and there needs to be a minimum of 200 students enrolled per employment cluster. Now, these are the three criteria: outcomes, delivery, and institution. This is very typical of what you see in a kind of skills-based learning evaluation methodology. And then under it, we put the institution. Yeah, graduate reputation is mentioned. Now, here I want to basically focus on this specific one so that you get an idea about the thinking behind this, rather than me repeating everything. So the source for graduate reputation is surveys of local employers and local alumni. So we want to rate excellence at a local level. So we're not asking employers on the other side of the earth, what do you think about this institution? No, we want to know what your local stakeholders, who are incredibly important, as Professor Saad pointed out, what do they really think? And then we ask them to evaluate graduates based on certain criteria. So throughout, when we ask about employability and whatnot, we always look at the local alumni, the local employers, skill holders, etc. Delivery, similar story. We look at many different things. Teaching and learning, obviously, faculty quality. And here I want to point out an important difference. D2.1, we look at faculty holding a teaching qualification. One of the things we don't do is looking at faculty who hold PhDs, because we think that's not always relevant for every institution. Having good faculty being able to teach, that's the #1 criterion. Another thing that we look at is faculty industry experience. How can you prepare graduates for industry if you have 0 experience in industry? That's something very important. We ask about faculty satisfaction with working conditions, because we think happy faculty are usually good faculty. We look at a few other things. So we clearly have a different way of looking at the whole issue of faculty quality. Student industry exposure is also evaluated in a kind of, how do you call it? Yeah, again, non-enforced way, right? We want to basically ask if employers, students, faculty, if they're all happy with it, then it must be high quality industry exposure, and so on. So basically, we have a different way of looking at it. And if you go to our website, you can find very detailed information. So I'm going to quickly skip through the criteria. And just also to point out that we collect a lot of qualitative information, such as the employer profile. Where do students go and work? What are the salary ranges? Are they satisfied with their work-life balance? Where are they coming from? Why are they studying at your institution? Is it affordable? And we ask all of those questions because we realize that yeah, once you go and ask the students and faculty and alumni about your institution, it's a golden opportunity to also ask them 1 or 2 more questions and get this kind of market intelligence. So we didn't want to pass that up and really get maximum value for the institution. So as Mandy mentioned, yes, we do data collection primarily for stakeholders. So there was a question about, can this be rolled out during COVID-19 or afterwards? And the answer is that it can. We can evaluate students or stakeholders online, and we just send them a survey link, and that's how it works. So this is what a survey looks like. Just for your example, we ask them personal information because we need to know that the person answering the survey is who they say they are. We need to verify that. And then we ask them various questions, and that's the case for all of the surveys. So that's carefully structured. Some of the surveys have a kind of survey tree so that irrelevant questions are not answered. Yeah, we also collect some institutional data about courses, tuition fees, the students and faculty that are there, media outreach, and so on. But in a sense, this is secondary. It's to verify the survey data that we get. Basically, we distribute surveys via email, or we can give you an easy to remember link, and then we distribute that to all the institutions. This is an idea about response rates, and I'm not going into this. It's a bit statistical, but basically means if you have a large student population, your response rate can be lower. And especially for the pilot, we see that we have great responses from students, alumni, faculty usually, but employers is always a struggle. And we can share with you some strategies to get those responses. But so far, all our institutions have succeeded. Now you'll see that our rating timeline is extremely short. It's industry leading. Basically, we have a meeting to coordinate with you about the methodology, how we should set up the surveys. We then have a survey period, which can be anywhere from a couple of weeks to much longer. We then immediately produce a preliminary report for you. And if there's nothing strange, we can produce the final report within about 1 month. And then you can publish the results. Now, institutions, they get a badge, a rating certificate, a confidential report. Currently, they get a kind of satisfaction score because we haven't quite collected enough data yet to be able to issue a more firm rating. So we're working on that. We hope to do that this year, but that will happen. And so right now we publish a kind of satisfaction score, which your institution can immediately start using for advertising, for promotional ends, and so on. Now, the second thing I briefly want to talk about is the third thing rather, is our online ready. So we've talked about the ranking research. That's of course, it's great, but it's limited to research. We've talked about Job Ready, which is a very heavy tool. It's really a very thorough assessment, although it's just surveys. Getting those surveys done, takes a bit of initiative from the institution, takes some time. But very, very informative. And then Online Ready is basically our thinking about the next step of how we can evaluate online teaching by institution. So why would an institution want to be online ready rated? Well, online education, as Judith mentioned, it has grown exponentially. And it could be, in case permanently, replace certain kinds of higher education. Think about large classroom-based lectures. That's something that might generally be replaced by online learning. However, there's still huge divergence in the qualities and delivery of this education. And we also see client demand. Clients asking us, hey, can you evaluate our online course delivery? We want to know where we stand. So the benefits of taking part in Online Ready would be global benchmarking, understanding how your institution does against its global peers, marketing and branding as a way to attract these international students to your online programs by showcasing that, yes, you really have an industry-leading experience. Stakeholder engagement, it's a way to change student and faculty to understand their perception of the online learning that you're offering. Now, our Online Ready rating system, it has 4 components, at least in its current conceptual stage. We look at course delivery, including quality, learning support, examination and recognition, and also faculty. And these criteria are benchmarked from various sources, including the US News Best Online Programs ranking things because they thought about it very well. And so we've borrowed some ideas from them. Course delivery, this is too much information to read through, but it's many of the points that Judith actually mentioned that you would want to look at. Also, accessibility. Is the online course accessible for students with visual and learning disabilities, for example? And again, we will share these slides with you after the presentation. Learning support is important. I mean, our students coached in online learning, time management, and studying strategies, something that Judith mentioned, something that we want to look at. Do students have access to technology support? Yeah, as we can see, technology can still be fragile, and questions like that. So really a very all-round evaluation. Examination and recognition. Can students do the exams online? Can they submit it online? Is the university recognized in global rankings or ratings? perhaps international student participation, and so on. And then faculty, what are their qualifications? And we have some ideas here as well. Now, this is not a final set of criteria, but it's something that we do want to engage with more, also with people from industry, with experts like yourselves today. Now, how would we evaluate? We do an institutional survey and then also student and faculty surveys to kind of verify what's going on. That is the intention. This concludes my presentation, my kind of 3 mini presentations. So let me see if there are very urgent Q&As, which I can perhaps also direct at another speaker in the last closing minutes, and then we might go to closing statements. A question, if we are going to provide the presentations, yes, we are. And there's a question to Judith. Yes, would you mind answering that question? Since you've already
is that the one I did? I have answered it in the chat box as well.
Okay.
So yes, but I suppose there was a question particularly about assessment, and actually you touched upon it in your presentation as well, Pieter. I think it's just important to realise that with online, there had in the past, I think, been challenges with assessment, but it's very much now, you know, there's ongoing assessment as you're going through the programs with coursework that you are delivering, and I think that's an area that is you know, particularly important when it comes to online, and it also develops those critical skills that we are trying to develop in all of our students, be they online or face-to-face or a bit of both.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for that comment. Okay, in the interest of time, because we are running out, yeah, I am going to move on to our closing statements. And we're very fortunate to have closing remarks by Mandy, and after that by Professor Abdulrahim Al-Hunaiti, who I'll introduce again in a second. Mandy, go ahead with your closing statement. Mandy, you're muted currently.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Right. Thank you for joining us for our first AppliedHE Exchange MENA webinar. I would especially like to thank Professor Muhammad Alwidin, who has been the key person behind the scenes coordinating this webinar. And of course, great thanks to our wonderful speakers and you, our great audience, who attended in such great numbers. Thank you so much. I hope this is the beginning of a larger engagement between AppliedHE and your institution. So we hope to see you join our AppliedHE Future Social Media Network. Do sign up quickly. And also at our Rankometer launch in 2 weeks' time. And of course, at all our future AppliedHE webinars, always on a Wednesday, always at 8 p.m. Singapore time. Also, please don't hesitate to reach out to us about our ratings and rankings, and please do stay in touch. Thank you very much.
All right, and then our closing comments is by Professor Abdulrahman Al-Hunaiti, who was the first person in the room. He's been waiting this whole time. I really appreciate that. He's Assistant Secretary General of AARU, the Arab Association of Universities, and Director Quality Assurance and Accreditation Council in Jordan. Professor Abdulrahman, you need to unmute, and then we are waiting for your comment.
Thank you very much. You can hear me now, okay?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yeah. First of all, I would like to thank Professor Muhammad Al-Wadian, President of Amman Arab University, and also Mandy Mock for the founder and CEO of AppliedHE. Let me start with the Association of Arab University is a non-profit organization consists of about 400 universities from 22 Arab countries. And the Association of Arab University, we stress the importance of global higher education community in maintaining a contact with the academic, and so keeping updating the information, especially during COVID-19 and also crisis and beyond. I will be very brief. Today event is a great way to get a taste of AppliedHE and offer simple opportunity for international networking and knowledge sharing and focus in higher education that prepared the students for a clearly defined job or occupational. The applied HE job ready ranking, which is a multidimensional rating system, is a good start to encourage university to revisit their mission to focus on employment-ready future skills to overcome some of the challenging facing, especially the Arab University, which I show some of these challenges. First of all is governance. The second, quality assurance. The third is finance. The fourth is scientific research. The fifth, educational outcome and development. The six is globalization, and seven is competitiveness. Eight is the brain drain. This is very important, challenging, facing the Arab University. I hope with this team and with this webinar, we can transfer or change these challenges to opportunity. And next time we see the Arab University is leading in the ranking, different ranking system. And I think this is a good idea to host such webinars and to be exposed to other experience. And thank you all the speakers for this information and good presentation. And we are ready to cooperate and contact with you in the future to set any we can help to improve higher education in Arab countries. Thank you very much for give me this opportunity to speak to you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that those
Very
wonderful
short.
wrapping up words. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid this is it for today. We will soon turn off the feed. Thank you very much again for attending, and hope that you'll attend our next event. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.